How's this thing supposed to start? My name's Aaron. Some of y'all might know me by a gimme. Some of y'all might not know me at all, but I think it's really important that we know these books really intimately. So I think it's time for you to go and check your shelf.
Yes, sir. We back again. What's up, all y'all beautiful young people? I appreciate you, taking an hour out of your day to come spend it with your boy. It really means a lot. I mean, I wish there was, a better way for me to express my gratitude, but it really does mean a lot. I mean, just the fact that you would even tune in, let alone stay around. You know what I'm saying? So we're here at Check Your Shelf. This episode 7, and we are reading "Be Here Now" by Baba Ram Dass. And like all the other books we read here at Check Your Shelf, this is a book that's gotten a lot of controversy throughout the years. I don't know if it's ever actually been banned, but it's definitely counterculture, and it's definitely been controversial in its days. But that's what we do here. We're not afraid of getting into things that make some people a little bit uncomfortable, or make ourselves a little uncomfortable. But last week, on episode 6, we experienced the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism. We got all the way through those. We learned the importance of sadhana, which is sort of like the ultimate mindfulness, like just constantly being aware of what you're doing and, being absolutely present for it. Like practice that sadhana every instance that you're able to. We learned a really cool metaphor for the hopelessness that comes with endless desire, which was the giant ice cream cone. We learned about faith and everything that comes along with it, how essential and unavoidable it is, even if you're non-religious. Faith is everywhere. I mean, even if you're agnostic or atheist, you have faith in your rational brain and your logical brain saying that there's no way a God could exist, and you're having faith in that sort of material. When I say material, I don't mean like materialism, but like the material plane, like the plane that humans can sort of come to terms with, if you will. We also experienced what it's like meeting a godly person and how it kind of makes you feel godly in return. We experienced how to truly honor the Divine Mother, and we experienced how to truly honor the Divine Mother, which would be by making it sacred, or making everything you do your sadhana. So if you really believe in the Divine Mother, or God, or whatever, a higher being, the only way to really dedicate your life to that is by practicing sadhana all the time. We got a little bit of a new setup, so the camera angle's a little bit different, the lighting's probably a little bit different, and the audio's probably a little bit different, which sucks because I just got that shit nailed down. Last episode, I felt like it was really good. But we're gonna go with what we got. We're gonna get into this shit. This is Check Your Shelf, man, episode 7. We are on page 56, in the middle of the brown section. If you want to read along, if you don't have the book, feel free to hop onto YouTube, youtube.com. Well, actually, I don't even think I have a URL because I'm so fucking unknown. But if you type Ascend.Create into the YouTube search bar, you'll be able to find it. The links will also be in the description of every episode. So let's kick into this biatch. Check your shelf, baby. In the old days, like many of you, I suppose, I was a good oral type person. You open the refrigerator and you can't stuff your mouth fast enough. Everything turns you on. I'll have a little of that, and there's some ice cream, and there's some coleslaw. That'll go good with the ice cream. You can't stuff your mouth fast enough. Everything turns you on. The stimulus arouses the response. Here's a real sour pickle. Gotta go with something. Oh boy, it's too much. Have a taste of flour. Oh yeah, I remember doing the daily dab off that sentence last time. Have a taste of flour. You can go on the oral trip about everything. I come right out of that tradition. I want you to know where I started from what depths, I don't know why he writes it like that. Why would he just repeats himself? That boy be repeating himself a lot. And it makes me want to put like that low voice on it all the time, like the echoing ass voice. When I was an adolescent, I was so fat that all my clothes had to be specially made. We would go into a store and my mother would say, "He wants to see the double Z with balloon seats." Jesus. Is that really how they talked about clothes back then? That seems kind of crazy. It took me at least $10,000 of my analysis to get rid of that one, I'll tell you. So you can understand that I speak of the oral trip with a certain amount of empathy. And now, suddenly, comes this new ruling sent down from above. All your acts will be consecrated. So, I think this is probably something we can all relate to, myself especially. I am a big boy. It's nice to just have that constant sort of sensory data just being sent to your brain all the time, you know. And one of the easiest ways to get it is to, you know, have a little sip of soda or, you know, a little Hershey's Kiss or something along those lines. Wow, that's great. But what about food? Now, in the West, I wonder why my voice is so like, my throat feels so tight today, man. I might need to go smoke before finishing this episode. Wow, that's great. But what about food? Now in the West, we have a thing. You see, the Norman Rockwell cover, Thanksgiving Day. There's the turkey, and everybody has his eyes closed, saying grace, and the kid's hand is already on the turkey. Okay, let's say grace and eat quick. So in India, I was taught this thing to say to consecrate the food, and it was very funny. I'd been taught it, but I still had this old orality business. So I would say it, but I could not think it. And I just bumped the microphone with my book. So I could say it, but I could not think it. And I could not stop long enough to experience it. At last, I had to confront myself and see where I wasn't. You've got to go at the rate you can go. You wake up at the rate you wake up. You're finished with your desires at the rate you're finished with your desires. The disequilibrium comes into harmony at the rate it comes into harmony. You can't rip the skin off the snake. The snake must molt the skin. That's the rate it happens. I wonder if that was this thing to say. Gotta go at the rate you can go, man. Like I said, I think we've said it a couple times and it bears repeating because it's super simple and it seems to be something that a lot of people can't necessarily get through their heads, but this is the oldest trick in the book, man. You've always been doing it this way because it's the only way to be done. You are a totally determined being. God knows your path and he's put you on it. Even when you feel like you've fallen off the path, that was part of the path. You know what I mean? You meet another person, and there are qualities in that personality which offend you, and there are qualities which attract you. Some qualities seduce you, some qualities repel you. Some qualities sexually excite you, some qualities revolt you. Some qualities interest you, some qualities fascinate you, some qualities bore you. It's only when you can see through all that veil, through all your own desires, beyond Sita walking in the path, that you can see beyond all that. Remember that parable we read about the person blocking them from seeing God because she was walking in their path? Beyond Sita, walking in the path that you can see beyond all that to where the other being is. You will do that when you've gone inside. to see where you are. Beyond the things in which you would beyond the things in you which attract you and seduce you and excite you and repel you. See, sometimes, bro, like, you need punctuation and you need to write like a normal human, not like a fucking tripped out fucking dude in the middle of India that's been fasting for 35 years. You will do that when you've gone inside to see where you are. Beyond the things in you which attract you and seduce you and excite you and repel you, the journey across the great ocean of existence is a journey inward. Even in deeper... Oh my God, man. I maybe I need to drink to do this fucking podcast. Can I not read? Good Lord, man. This is a complicated page, bro. Ugh. You will do that when you've gone inside to see where you are. Beyond the things in you which attract you and seduce you and excite you and repel you. The journey across the great ocean of existence is a journey inward, ever in deeper and deeper, and the deeper you get in, the more you meet truth. Dude, I about started sweating trying to read that fucking page, and I don't know why. The Guru. We see a very, very well drawn sketch of Maharaji. It's hard to speak in words about the Guru. Man, and I'm leaning so much to be close to the mic, and now the camera can't see me. I hate this new setup. Just kidding. It's hard to speak in words about the Guru. To speak of the difference between an Upa Guru and a Sat Guru. It's interesting that when I tell the story of my journey in India and tell of the Guru, I always speak of his miracles. Although from my point of view, they are not the essence of the matter at all, but they are that which is speakable of. It's a little like that Persian story where Nasruddin is looking for his house key under the street lamp, and others come to help him, and finally they ask him, "Where did you lose it?" And he answers, "Well, in my house, but it's dark in there. And since it's light out here, this is the best place to look." I find myself talking about things that are talkable about. What can I say? Dude, maybe I'm not high enough to really understand what's going on, but I'm kind of lost myself. So, I'm hoping he's trying to be allegorical and like lead us to say like, oh, well, he's looking in the wrong place. If you want to find what you're looking for, you have to look in the right place. But I don't understand what the fuck that has to do with speakable instances of miracles. Like, I really don't. And what does that have to do with Upa Gurus and Sat Gurus? I'm completely lost. Can I say with any meaning that when I'm with the Guru, there's nobody home? Or that I love him so thoroughly that I would do anything he would ever ask of me, and the highest thing I could think of is being at his feet? And at the same moment, I don't care if I never see him again in this life. Can I say that? Can I say there is absolutely nothing special about him? He's just a little old man with a blanket? Can I say he's right here now? Which one are you ready to hear? When I was around Maharaji, there was always a constant stream of devotees, who would have much reverence, Vishwas, but not too much faith, Shraddha, and they were always asking Maharaji for miracles, or to get them a job, or they wanted to use his divinatory powers and tell them about the future. And then when he would ask me what it was that I wanted, I couldn't think of anything. I just felt he was inside of me. How do you ask your inner self for something? You are already it. What is it that you could give yourself? Give yourself presents? It's all wrong. At first I didn't trust it. So I'd have to come into his presence, and the minute I'd get there, I'd feel, yeah. And I'd look at him, and my eyes would get all swimming with tears, and I'd just laugh, and I'd feel silly. I would be really silly. Silly. It's hard to get me speechless. It does seem like it's hard to get you speechless, man. Sometimes it feels like you just be talking. I'm glad we got back to some semblance of like coherent things that we can kind of digest. Those last pages were really strange to me for some reason. I'm not sure why. My teacher, Hari Das Baba, is essence. He is pure. He is just like a crystal. He is beautiful. He is exquisitely articulated. He taught me everything I was ready to learn. The guru taught me nothing in form. He never explained anything. He'd laugh at me and twirl my hair and hand me an orange and say things like, "You make many people laugh in America?" And I'd say yes, and he'd say, "That's good. That doesn't teach you much, that's just hanging out." The teacher, on the other hand, was all spit and polish, all business. He's a pure Brahmin, and he has work to do, and he's going to teach me, and it was all no nonsense. He would be making me a rope to go around my waist with 7 strands, and he would be explaining each strand, and I honor him and love him and wish to serve him. One of them is in the world for me, and one of them is not. The relationship to the guru has nothing to do with the worldliness with the worldly. See, again, I feel like he just be like, we learned about this little miracle that he was talking about a couple episodes ago. He had already talked about this. Not a miracle or whatever, but like this way of teaching where he's like, well, you like to make people laugh, you made much money in America, and it wasn't, like he's saying, we're all just hanging out. But now he's like, the teacher, on the other hand, was all spit and polish, was all spit and polish, all business. He's a pure Brahmin. He has work to do. So is he talking about himself? Or is this another person? Because his teacher, Hari Das Baba, is essence. That's what we're talking about. I pressed home, not page up. God bless it. My teacher, Hari Das Baba, is essence. The guru taught me nothing in form. Guru and teacher, are these supposed to be different people here? I guess I'm sober right now. And maybe that's why I'm confused. I don't know. I really don't know. But he's talking about hanging out is all no nonsense. He would be making me a rope to go around my waist with 7 strands, and he would be explaining each strand. And I love him and honor him and wish to serve him, and one of them is in the world for me and one of them is not. The relationship to the guru has nothing to do with worldliness, with the worldly. So, guru seems to be another metaphysical term that we're using here, like ego or like heart cave. These things don't actually exist in a sort of material sense that we can grasp. So I'm guessing he's considering guru to be the part that the teacher is connected to the guru in a sort of weird metaphysical pulling it from heaven type shit. Like I really don't know what I don't know. I don't know what the fuck he's saying here. Well. I went and smoked. I poured myself a drink. And I instantly feel better. Because I was right. By guru, back to the book. By guru, I don't mean a specific guru in my head. There is a universal guru, a level of consciousness, a frequency, a vibration, a connection to another plane. Sorry, my cat decided it wants to eat some dinner, so if you can hear some crunching, that's what that is. A level of consciousness, a frequency, of vibration, a connection to another plane. He was right here, laughing and being here all the time. I spent all last winter and the year before at the temple just making love to Maharaji in every way, being opened wider, and was just so awed by the pure love of a being that there was no place for my paranoia. Yet everywhere I turned, there it was. And no place for it because I only saw the man in the flesh probably 8 times. I only saw the man in the flesh probably 8 times. It's amazing, and all but 2 times for not more than half an hour or maybe an hour. And most of that was superfluous. I needed to see him in the flesh only because my faith was not pure enough. What awesome is the people who have been sharing this journey with me the past few years. What does that mean? What awesome is the people? Oh, what awes me? There's no O there. Okay, fair enough. What awes me is the people who have been sharing this journey with me these past few years, who have, because of their purity, made direct contact with the Guru in themselves through the purity of their love. Jesus said, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed." The way bhakti works, you just love until you and the beloved become one. I've reflected the difference between a teacher and a guru. The guru is the way. With the guru to making contact, the closer you come into samadhi, to going into this perfect center, the Atman, the inner place, to the way, to the Tao, the closer you come. It's as if the guru is an airplane hovering over a landing field, and there's just too much ground traffic for the plane to land. Cars all over the runway, looking for a guru. He just circles and circles, doing a holding pattern, waiting for you to clear your runway so he can land. He's sitting up there and here all the time. Maharaji is not further away from you at this moment than the thought you're thinking now. And if you were capable of completely stopping this thought or transcending it or being centered from the inside behind it, he and you would then be one. Kind of reminds me of, I think it was last episode where we kind of talked about not being able to, if you don't even know there's a message to be read, how can you possibly understand the message? You know, you can't open a door if you don't have the key, right? But what if you don't even know there's a door? Can you even know that you need to find a key, right? So kind of the same thing. You know, the guru is up there waiting for you to open up your landing strip so that he can land, you know what I mean? You dig that my special relationship to him, if indeed he's living in Sat Chit Ananda, cannot conceivably be special. There's no meaning to that. Specialness can only be in each person's karma. It's not an interpersonal relationship. Charlie! My cat decided it wants to eat and take a shit. So she's out here fucking scratching the side of her litter box. Are you done being a menace to society? Cats, man. You dig that my special relationship to him cannot conceivably be special. There's no meaning to that. Specialness can only be in each person's karma. It's not an interpersonal relationship with a being that is not interpersonal. People say, you've got something going with the guru. That's absurd. I just have what I have going with my own karma. Each person is as close to the guru at every moment as he is close to the guru at that moment. I'm gonna do that. I like that. I'm gonna reiterate that one again for a little emphasis. Each person is as close to the guru at every moment as he is close to the guru at that moment. And people say, maybe the guru would intervene and take on my karma. But from a guru's point of view, he just understands how it all is in eternal time and space. He has no attachment, either to life or death. And if he takes on your karma, it is your karma that he should take on your karma. That commit came out, ribbity, 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 ribbity. He has no attachment to either life or death. And if he takes on your karma, it is your karma that he should take on your karma. It's as simple as that. You see, you are the guru. That's what's so far out. You are your own guru. I am my own grandpa. That's what you finally know when you're hanging out with one of these guys. You hang out with yourself because there's nobody at home there at all. So to the extent that there's hanging out in the interpersonal sense, all you can be seeing are your own desires. He is a perfect mirror, since there's nobody here. So this is sort of like this is just like going into a little bit more descriptive detail into kind of what he means when the Buddha meets the Buddha, right? Or, when you meet a godly being, how it makes you feel more godly, It's all projection. Everything's all projection. And the only type of thing that a guru is going to show you is the sort of thing that you're already, it's just a reflection. It's just projection of what you already think. So, he's saying it in sort of a hippity, what am I looking like? Hippy dippy way, right? Like very far out and spaced out. But that's all he's saying is that when you meet a guru, again, this is that sort of elevated meaning of that word, right? It's more than a teacher. It's like the universal teacher. So when you meet a guru inside of a human vessel, it's really easy to, if you're being a little bit of a negative Nancy, it's easy to see your shortcomings when you compare them to somebody who you consider that guru, but at the same time, he's not saying that about you, or he or she, the guru is not saying that about you. You're saying that about yourself, and you're only seeing that reflection. So it's a fun little thought experiment on self-speaks and the right thought version of the Eightfold Path that we talked about earlier. The chicken sees. When I met my guru, who knew everything in my head, I realized that he knew everything in my head, whether I liked it or not. He knew it. And there would be times after a particularly beautiful darshan with him when he would say to me, "Oh, you gave much money to a lama." And I'd say, "Yes." And he'd say, "You're very good. You're coming along with your sadhana." And I felt so good. And then I'd go back to the temple and think, boy, I'm going to be a great yogi. I'll have great powers. What am I going to do with them? And I'd start to have these horrible thoughts, and all my impurities would rise to the surface. And they would really be. And then I'd go to bed and I'd have all kinds of sexual fantasies, and I'd think, look, you're being a yogi and you see the absurdity of that situation you're in. But I'd still have the thought. And then in the course of it, I'd have a thought. I'd be going through my shoulder bag and I'd come across a note I'd written to myself. Remember to visit Lama Govinda. And I'd think, I must visit Lama Govinda while I'm in India. And the next morning at 8 o'clock, there's the messenger with the instructions. The guru said you're to go visit Lama Govinda. Now, there isn't a message saying, cut out those sexual thoughts. But he must obviously know them. Do you think he just picked up on the Lama Govinda thing? Can I assume the probabilities are he only tunes in every time I have a positive thought? And then I come before him, and now I'm freaked because he knows it all. Because I know he knows it all. And I walk in, and he looks at me with total love. And I think, how can he do it? This guy must be nuts. He's loving this corrupt. Why isn't he just... You see the predicament I was in? And then what I understood was he was loving that in me, which was behind my personality, which was behind my body. Not, I really love Ram Dass. It wasn't interpersonal love. It wasn't possessive love. It wasn't needful love. It was the fact that he is love. Where he saw me, he looked at me and he saw that place in me, which is okay. So see, this is another one of those places where you just kind of gotta read the groupings and don't read it like a book. Where he saw me and he looked at me and he saw that place in me, which is love. And here in love we are. That's the world he lives in. And once I appreciated that and could see that, he could look at this corrupt, impure, ugly being and he could love it that much. Nobody had ever done that before. Everybody had said, I'll love you if... And he just said, where you really are and where I really am, we are love. And when I was around him, I was in love. Now, once I had tasted of that universe where we are all us, this place that's the sea of love, boy, I'm gonna live in it, I'm gonna be in it, I'm gonna submerge myself in it. You gotta protect yourself. From what? Love? Once you know there's no place to hide, then you wonder, who are you hiding from anyway? Once you know there's no place to hide anyway, then you wonder, who are you hiding from? There's a Sikh story about a holy man who gave 2 men each a chicken and said, go kill them where no one can see. One guy went behind the fence and killed the chicken. The other guy walked around for 2 days and came back with the chicken. The holy man said, you didn't kill the chicken. The guy said, well, everywhere I go, the chicken sees. I really like that. And that reminds me of this story that I think the Dalai Lama or Gandhi or one of the Buddhas had told or whatever. A young mother brings her son to the Buddha and says, you know, Buddha, can you tell my son to stop eating sugar? And he says, come back in 3 days. So she comes back the next day and she says, please, will you tell my son to stop eating sugar? He says, come back in 2 days. So she comes back in 2 days and she says, will you please tell my son to stop eating sugar? And the Buddha says, well, stop eating sugar, son. It's no good for you. And she says, well, why did I have to wait 3 days for you to tell him that? And he says, well, I had to stop eating sugar. Very profound stuff in the simplicity of this religion, and really helped me get into it a lot easier. Something I benefit greatly from. Sahaj Samadhi. The guru is on an endless wave, just hanging out in that place. He's hanging. Oh, yeah. See, like, again, I hate it. I hate it so much. The guru is on an endless wave, just hanging out in that place he's hanging. Where does he reside? He resides in this really interesting place. He resides right in that place where the Divine Mother merges into herself. He's right between the two sides of the coin. He's right at that place. He's right at that place. He goes into one with it all, into the void. And he comes back into form in order to love it all, and then goes through his love and he goes back into it again. It's like making love to somebody and you pick your face up from your lover in order to come down to experience, aren't we having a ball? And then you go back into oneness. Such a Zen being does that with every breath, between each breath one, and then the breath of two. So he's using that to kind of just like, he's got a little diagram down here of like waves. So you see like the peak and the crest of waves, peak and the valley of waves. You know, it's just literally waves in the ocean, but you could also picture in your head like vibrational waves. Such a Zen being does that with every breath, between each breath one, and then the breath of two. He is eternally in that place. He's in what is known as Sahaj Samadhi. He's right at the edge. He stays at that edge. And that's why he stays in his body. If he just stayed in the void, the body after 21 days just falls away. There's no ego left to hold it together. That's the rule of the game. If you're wondering, that's the rule of the game if you're wondering what happens. Some beings do that. They go into samadhi and they've finished with their bodies and they just leave them. And then there are others. There are some very far out stories in India. There are others who leave a thin, very, very thin thread of ego. There's one being who, for 20 years, was locked up in a cave. And every year, his devotees opened the cave. Once a year, they'd go in to have his darshan. There was no food, nothing. And he looked like a corpse, except that his hair kept growing and his nails kept growing for 20 years. He was not hanging out with much. He was just leaving a subtle thread to keep in contact. Boy, that music change was pretty fucking powerful, huh? Going all somber towards the end of that shit, that was fire. Those of little faith need long fingernails and long hair to believe it's happening. Lest ye see miracles, ye will not believe, said our buddy. That's a cool picture, man. It looks like you got all the religious beings kind of playing different instruments. You've got God up here holding what looks like the Ten Commandments right here, but he's like playing them with mallets. Got a couple angels playing instruments. Dude's got a halo around his fucking head. That's probably just John Lennon or Paul McCartney, I met. And look, a black guy with an afro. This dude is progressive. Those of little faith need long fingernails and long hair to believe it's happening. Lest ye see miracles, ye will not believe, said our buddy. Everything he said was straight. Whoops. I pressed the space bar and skipped that page. Everything he said was straight, you understand? All that stuff in the Bible is really straight. Look what happened to Saul of Tarsus, for God's sake. There he was, riding along on the desert, on his horse or camel or something, and a voice said to him, "Why are you persecuting me?" He was out in the hot sun, and you know. He flipped out. He went flying off of his horse and fell on the ground. "What do you want of me?"
"Start my church."
Yeah, I know, with the God voice again. I know. I'm so sorry. Leave me alone. I like it. Go to the next town and you'll be instructed. That's what he heard. And he went the whole trip. And it was an astral, and that's an astral trip, a very groovy astral trip. Some people think that when God talks to you like that, you've lost your fucking mind. I'm not saying I'm one of those people, but I will say that every time I mention God talking to me, they always, "Well, what kind of drugs were you on?" I'm not sure that's important, to be honest, because the message was still shared with me. It was impactful, important, and It's a good message. I don't really understand why the method of how we got it matters. But it's all hobbycock anyways. You got it from some man at the head of the church who thinks he's capable of telling a godly story. And humans are silly, bro. You can't do that. You're a human. But he can lead you on the path, and he can help change your mind the same way a simple book has changed mine. It's not that hard to do it. But you have to do the work yourself. And that's what the Bible is. An astral story. A very groovy astral story. At one level. At one level, I can feel the horror in somebody. He's saying. It's a good astral story, but illusions are illusions. It's here. In the sound of the tambora. In the sound of the tambora in sound. I'm not sure that's a real sentence. In the beginning was the Word. Ready? It's a combination of things that make you ready to see the Guru. There are many people who come to see Maharaji and they just see a little old man in a blanket. Can you imagine the horror? This happened to two people who heard me and figured out where the Guru must be through logical deduction, and went to India and went rushing to his feet and found a little old man in a blanket who threw them out. Imagine what that must feel like. Because you can see the difference in their minds and what it was they had a model of. The model was what they searched for. It was their own thought process which kept them from seeing. So I think the easiest thing for me to kind of relate that to is when Richard Alpert, the protagonist of the story, Baba Ram Das, when he went to India, he was not necessarily going there to seek out Maharaji specifically, right? He went there with the intention of becoming a holy man, finding a holy man, and giving him this medicine, which would be LSD, to try to find out what the message is. You know, the message being whatever, the path to enlightenment, how do you get to heaven, whatever, right? And when you have the pure intentions in your heart and you are willing to put in the work, the people can see that. Calm beings can see other calm beings, and you have to find that calm center. I think we talked about that last episode. So when you hear somebody give a lecture about Maharaji and, you know, the crazy powerful feelings that Baba Ram Das had because of Maharaji, and you're like, oh, I want to go experience the same thing this guy experienced, and you buy a plane ticket and you go exactly where you think this guy is, it's a completely different intent. The intent is so different, and that means your experience is going to be vastly and wildly different. So you have to kind of, he said right here, I'm picking my dry lips, I should probably just wear chapstick a little more frequently. He said right down here though, it was their own thought process which kept them from seeing. So I think another maybe super simple way to say it is, don't overthink things. You know, follow your gut feeling, use your intuition, and try not to think. If you overthink things, you're distracting yourself from your sadhana. Stay mindful, stay present, and be ready to grasp and seize these opportunities when they present themselves. Two things are required. One is Vairagya. Viagra. Just kidding. The falling away of worldliness, the return of innocence. That means you're starting to have enough of all that. You see that everything you're going to experience through your senses and everything you're going to know through your thinking mind is not going to be enough. And worldly things begin to appear like dross instead of gold. I don't know what dross is. Dross is a mass of solid impurities floating on a molten metal or dispersed in metal such as wrought iron. So the difference between dross and gold is very obvious, right? Switch that into a metaphorical sense and you'll just begin to see that he means worldly things begin to lose their inherent value, their intrinsic value. Not totally. Wait. Like dross instead of gold, just not totally. See, this word just right here should be over here. But because he probably wrote it in like big long pieces of brown paper that are like, he probably wrote it like this. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. If you don't know what I'm talking about, buy the book or follow me on YouTube and watch the videos. Ascend.Create. And worldly things begin to appear like dross instead of gold, just not totally. It begins to happen. It's falling away. My teacher said the veil falls away like the skin of a snake. The ego thins like clouds until only a transparent layer remains. The other thing that's required is the pure seeking, the purity of the faith. There is as much faith in you, here, in us, at this moment, as anywhere in India. Might have been episode 1 or 2. No. Had to have been at least episode 3 or 4, but that's kind of something that he's been saying throughout the whole book too, is that it really helped him going to these other places and being able to talk to these other people in order to facilitate the process. But you don't need that. The guru is inside of you. The temple is inside of you. God is inside of you if you do enough searching and you do the right work. If you have the right set of tools, it makes the job a lot easier. If you're trying to nail 2 pieces of wood together, it would really be helpful to have a hammer, but you could probably do it with like a microphone or a screwdriver or plenty of other tools that would work. But if you have the right tools, the job is that much easier. So one of those tools is realizing the innate power you have as a godly being. You just have to find it and do the work. I can't think of many other things that are worth working for. Some people think money is the utmost determining factor of how hard we're supposed to be working, right? But money exists in time and space, guys. And we all know what happens to things that exist in time and space. Where there is faith, there is the presence of the guru. He is it all. He is your impurities. He is all your corruption. There he is, smiling at you through them, saying, and this too. He sees, he understands, total compassion. He understands total compassion. And total compassion means you are the universe. You are all form. You are the breath. You are the river. You are the void. You are the desire to be enlightened. You are enlightened. Boy, I couldn't plan it. I couldn't plan that better if I tried, man. The way the track ended, with how powerful and how simple and how poetic the ending to that little stanza was. I loved that. I really loved that. That's who he is, the guru. That's who he is. That's who, what, a guru is. So any concept you can have of any relation to a guru obviously is a hype. How can you relate to something which is already you? And everything you've ever related to or could relate to, how are you going to talk about it? I met him. Who? What? Well, I'm going to look for the guru. How absurd. You are it. It's really just another cop-out to be searching for the guru. He's your fingernail. Just bite your fingernail and you're eating him alive. When you know how to listen, everybody is the guru. Speaking to you, it's... I put a big pause and shouldn't have. When you know how to listen, everybody is the guru speaking to you. It's right here, always. Always here and now. This one's going to be tough to read through because of the heavy inking, so bear with me. I keep doing this because I don't think people thoroughly grok, G-R-O-K. It's literally what it says on the computer and my book. I keep doing this because I don't think people thoroughly grok the fact that here is where it all is. After you finish the whole thing and you've vibrated your spine for years and vibrated your spine for years and done your pranayam. Now that I kind of got the whole fucking paragraph, I'm gonna try to read this thing quick, fluidly. Here and now. I keep doing this because I don't think people thoroughly grasp the fact that here is where it all is. After you finish the whole thing and you've vibrated your spine for years and done your pranayama and meditated for years and years and sat in a cave and plants have eaten your ants. See, I just kind of assumed the P and L were hidden. You've done your pranayama and meditated for years and years, sat in a cave, and ants have eaten your arms and legs. Here you are. You're right here again. And what blows your mind is you were here all the time. It's such a cosmic joke. It's so funny you're struggling to get here. It's the oldest trick in the book, right? I know I've said that a couple times, and I would like to figure out a way to get it tattooed on me in a way that really properly projects the imagery that I'm going for with it, but you're already doing it. It should be that simple. You are here right now. But to the human, to the ego, it's really, really tough to be here and now all the time. But you are here and you have been here the whole time. Here and now, you are here the whole time. You've been here the whole time. But it's such a struggle to get here. And that's the funniest joke that's ever been written. God is a comedian, man. Nothing else to it. At this moment, if you set the alarm to get up at 3:47 this morning, and when the alarm rings and you get up and turn it off and say, "What time is it?" You would say, now. Where am I? Here. Then you go back to sleep and get up at 9 tomorrow. Where am I? Here. What time is it? Now. Try 4:32 3 weeks from next Thursday. By God, there's no getting away from it. That's the way it is. That's the eternal present. You finally figure out that it's only the clock that's going around. Whoa, accidental right click. Super strange. You finally figure out that it's only the clock that's going around. It's doing its thing, but you're sitting here, right now, always. Nobody is going anywhere. Nobody is coming from anywhere. We're all here. We're all here in eternal time and space. We're always going to be here. We're just doing Lila Rasa, the divine dance that we're dancing. And dancing and dancing, dance after dance after dance, in one body, in another body, and we're all here, and we're all staying right here. Nothing to do. There's nowhere to go, and there's nothing to do. And we're going to keep coming to know one another more and more, free of being identified with any veil. We're going to see more and more of other beings less identified with their veils. As you find the light in you, you begin to see the light in everyone else. As you find God in yourself, there is God everywhere. Such a simple, obvious sequence of stuff to do. Somebody says, "Oh, I tried meditating. I can't. I'm afraid. I'm not ready. And I've got to go." Great. Sure, man. Go ahead. Of course, what else is there to do? Going back into the world, it's called. It's a good step. Am I going backward or forward? I can't do either of them. I can't go backward and I can't go forward, and I can't stand still. All of it is irrelevant. We're all just caught in the delusion. All of us caught in the illusion. Being aware of it as illusion, and yet so much in it. Have you ever watched a beautiful Zen monk, a very old monk who is really there, or here, really here, whichever? You watch him and he's cooking food, he's lifting stones, he's moving. You watch him walk and it's like nobody's walking. The legs are going and the whole thing is happening, but nothing is happening no matter what is happening. And that's what blows your mind when we get out of the kinds of heads we've got going that don't allow us to really understand how this can be. Return to the roots. You live out your karma. The best I can tell you about karma is, if you are pure spirit, you are not matter. You are that eternal spirit. Well, if each of us is that very old being and not this young body, or this body that's going through this life, why don't we remember? Why don't we remember it all? Why can't we read the entire Akashic record? Because of our attachments to the physical plane of reality. Because of the power of our identification with our own body senses and thoughts. If you could go into a meditation room, close up your ears, sit down, center, go in, further in. Oh, much further in. Oh, you've just begun. Keep going back in. Don't linger to smell the pretty sunflower. Don't linger to hold on to the ecstasy of bliss. Keep going in, behind the senses, behind your thoughts. And if you can go back in far enough, you will see everything you've identified with him. You will see your own personality, your own body, your own life drama. It's very awesome. The point is, we have gone out and out and out, and we have sought and found much, but it hasn't been enough. And now, by merely turning the process inward, you go in and in and in until you come to the place where Guru Rinpoche sits. Rinpoche. And what is this place? Hindus call it the Atman. And what is the Atman? The Bhagavatam, one of the holy books of India, says, the Atman, or divine self, is separate from the body. It is one without a second, pure, self-luminous, without attributes, free, all-pervading. It is the eternal witness. Blessed is he who knows this Atman, for though an embodied being, he shall be free from the changes and qualities pertaining to the body. He alone is ever united with me. Blessed is he who knows this Atman, for though an embodied being, he shall be free from the changes and qualities pertaining to the body. He alone is ever united with me. This is the place of pure being, that inner place where you dwell. You just be. There's nothing to be done in that place. From that place, then it all happens. It manifests in perfect harmony with the universe because you are the laws of the universe.
You are the laws of the universe.
This is what man's journey into consciousness is all about. This is Om. Home. It's going Om. This is the place, becoming one with God, returning. It is the return to the roots that the Tao talks about. It is the stillness, the calmness, the fulfillment. When you make love and experience the ecstasy of unity, that's the place. When you experience a great achievement and feel a moment of exhilaration, that's the place. When you see a moment of poetry in a flower or in words or in art, the way it's supposed to be, this is the place right here. It's Buddha consciousness. It's Christ consciousness. Jesus says, I and my Father are one. When Buddha says you give up attachment, when Buddha says you give up attachment and you finish with the illusion, this is the place. Still, you do your thing. Live your life in the world. The water goes on down the stream. You chop the wood and carry the water. You do your thing, the mind does its thing. Your senses do their thing, but you are not attached because you sat in front of the candle flame until there was just you and the candle flame. And then finally you extricated yourself from the attachment to your own thoughts, to the tyranny of the drunken monkey, even to the thoughts of I and candle flame. Not so that you would never think again. I mean, few people who know me don't appreciate the fact that I think and have keen discrimination. And I have not lost my mind, and I am a sophisticated, aware being. And yet, behind every word, and behind it all is a mantra going on inside my head, in which I am sitting, calmly watching this whole drama unfold. And we call that sadhana, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's going to be a decent little place to stop because we're getting close. Well, we're over an hour, and I had to add a little extra music, so I think that's what we're going to call it today. That was a decent little finishing point. I might not be able to finish this all next episode. And I'm not sure, how deeply I'm going to get into the cookbook for a sacred life. Because a lot of the cookbook of sacred life is a collection of like quotes, and there's like a question and answer page, and it's literally like, it's just like 8 pages of quotes, and there's some daily exercises and some asanas, which I'm not actually sure. Oh, asana is just yoga. So it gives you a bunch of yoga poses and stuff. So I probably won't go through that too in depth. What I will do is I'll read some of it and highlight some of it, and that might be the final episode, is just kind of going through that little final section really, really quickly and talking about the important parts. But with that being said, I really don't see there being many more. There's probably only 3 more episodes max for this book. So like I said at the beginning of the episode, man, please go and vote. I would love for y'all's voices to be heard. I really, like, I'm perfectly okay with just picking a book and reading it. There's so many books that I want to get into. But I would like for y'all to have a little bit of a voice and a little bit of a choice. So go hit up the Facebook group if y'all want to join my Discord. I'll have all those links available for you, and you can always feel free to reach out, man. All of my inboxes are open. Hit me anytime you want to. I'll be glad to talk to you about anything. If you've got questions about spirituality or about these books or anything I've said since you've been listening, I'll be glad to clarify. And I think I don't think I can say it too much, man, but I really appreciate y'all for being here, man. Thanks a lot. It's really meaningful to me, and this is a very, very rewarding and meaningful experience, and I intend to keep that going, and it means a lot for me to be able to share it with you. So thanks for coming back. I hope to see you again next week, but that was another episode of Check Your Shelf, man. So I think if you had a good time, you should do me a favor and maybe tell your friends about it. You can share the link on your socials and just let them know what I do. You know what I'm saying? Let them know what we're reading and what we're doing here, and that everybody's free to participate. So I love you to death. I love you through life, and we're gonna see what happens after all of that bullshit anyway. So much love. Y'all be good, man. I'll see y'all next week. Check your shelf.